What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of 100 Yards Football Sports Talk Radio. I'll be your host and producer this afternoon, Logan Landers. And joining me, as always, for our Tennessee Weekly Vols recap is the one and only Mr. Joey Klingscale. Joey, how you doing this afternoon, sir?
I'm wonderful. How are you today, Logan?
Can't complain. We're going to be talking all about Tennessee once again. Going to be talking about their big win last week and their upcoming matchup this weekend against the Florida Gators. And, of course, we have our legend segment in the show like we have been. But before we get into all that, be sure if you enjoy this episode here today, please go like, comment, share, and subscribe. We go live here on the channel each and every single week. We have tons of great content, not just Tennessee Vols related, also talking various other college sports, college teams, players, etc., talking NFL, of course, and any and everything football and in between. You can find it here on the channel, Facebook, YouTube, and on our podcast as well. Thanks to the Believe Podcast Network for distributing that each and every single week. Now, Joey, we know that Tennessee, they're coming off of a big win, as we know, but we have an even bigger matchup here for the Vols this upcoming weekend. It's the SEC portion here of the schedule once again, and it's the Florida Gators. Now, look, we know Florida coming into this matchup, ranked they are 3-7 overall, 2-5 in the SEC, but that doesn't mean they're not going to be a tough opponent. Now, for Tennessee, as we know, they took care of business like everyone expected last week. Big 42-9 victory over New Mexico State. But let's go ahead. Let's recap that just a little bit. Talk about what you saw in the New Mexico State game and how they can, how you think it's going to translate well to an SEC-ranked Florida Gators team this upcoming weekend.
Well, Logan, I didn't see a ton of resistance from New Mexico State, to be quite honest with you. I think Tennessee did some of the things they needed to do. I think they worked on their run game. I think the offensive line played fairly well. The receivers got involved. So I think they did some things coming off a bye week that they needed to do. And it's homecoming. It was a big game for Tennessee because it was homecoming, a lot of people in town, some distractions. But they were able to handle that well and take care of business. They were able to win a game they were supposed to win convincingly, and they did that. So I was excited about the way they did that. But this upcoming test will be big because, as you know, Tennessee has not won in Gainesville since 2003. So Gainesville will be in the University of Florida. I mean, they're a wounded team, a head coach that was let go a few weeks back. But they've been competitive. They're a tough team, and Tennessee's always a big game for Florida and vice versa. So it'll be tough. It'll be a tough game in Gainesville.
Yeah, no doubt about that. It is going to be a good matchup. But like you said, with Tennessee, not a lot of people thought that, it would be an upset last week in New Mexico State. It was homecoming. Usually they schedule easier opponents. More so the home fans can go home happy. We know that's not always the case. There has been many times in college athletics where that backfires on teams. But Tennessee, they took care of business. We know Aguilar did great as all. I think it's 10 games in a row now where he's thrown for over 200 yards through the air. So he has really stepped it up for Tennessee. Some great quarterback play. Kind of continuing off of what Joe Milton and company did years ago. But with Tennessee, like I said, coming into this game against Florida, it's been nearly 20 going on 23 years where you have not won on the road. Now, they're not talking about Neyland. They're talking about going to Gainesville and winning. And it's been quite some time. It's been a couple decades at this point. And, Tennessee, this is prime position for them to finally snap that long streak. Just looking, on both sides of the ball here. And like I said, we know for Florida, they're just trying to grit their way through the season at this point. And they fired Billy Napier a few weeks ago. At that point, you're just trying to make sure everyone's healthy for the rest of the season and also see, how the rest of your coaching staff is going to play out, looking ahead to next season at this point for Florida. And we know that they had, as always, if you're, a high-ranking SEC team, well-known like the Gators are, you expect and you hope that they'd have a better year, but that's not always the case. So if they win out, right, and if they took care of step one, you beat New Mexico State, you got Florida this week. You don't want to take them lightly, obviously, but is there still a chance, Joey, for Tennessee to get to the playoffs, or are we kind of going backwards here, even after a big win last week?
Well, I think we're probably, if we're being honest with ourselves, we're probably going backwards. There are way too many things that have to happen at this point for Tennessee to really get their way into the playoffs. The Florida win a Florida victory would help. But again, that's not going to be easy. They haven't won in Gainesville since 2003. Last time I checked, DJ Lagway was still the quarterback in Florida. He's going to be a handful. He's a big, strong, athletic kid. They still have a couple playmakers on the offensive side of the ball. Rumor is they may get their best defensive lineman back, who is certainly a handful if he decides to come back and play. He's been out since early September. So it will not be easy in Gainesville. And again, that is incredible. The fact that, it's been that long since Tennessee won in Gainesville. But again, athletically, we will have the advantage at a lot of different positions, especially at wide receiver. The offensive line has actually played pretty well the last couple of weeks. They're getting better. They're getting healthy. You have some young guys playing really well at a high level. We have 3 really good running backs. If we can play well and not turn the ball over, then we should have a chance. I mean, defensively, we've struggled defensively at times this year. Let's be quite honest about that, and that has to improve. And hopefully, we can do some good things this week in Gainesville.
And as you mentioned, Florida, they have DJ Lagway, and we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the other good players they have to watch out for if you're a Vols fan, to look on your stat sheet and say, all right, let's see how this guy's going to do this weekend. But with Florida, they've had some good matchups here recently in the last few games that they've played, aside from the Kentucky blowout. They've had some tough losses, right? Close losses in the sense of they only lost to Georgia by 4 points. They only lost to Ole Miss by 10 just the other week. So they are playing competitive football, but unfortunately for Gators fans, it's just not coming all the way to fruition. Joe, I know you mentioned a few key players for Florida, but is there maybe some aspect of the game that you think that they might have the leg up on, whether it be the running game with Jaden Ball, whether it be maybe the receivers or anyone on the defensive side that you think that might have the upper hand against the Vols this weekend?
Well, it'll be interesting to see how Tennessee plays Florida from a defensive standpoint. Florida can be explosive when they need to be. They've showed that several times this year where they can go down after giving up a score and go back down and score because they can run the ball. And Florida is a physical football team. Let's make no mistake about that. Even with the change in coaching staff, the head coach position, they are a physical football team. So they will be a challenge. They do have receivers on the outside that can make plays vertically and underneath and catch and run and a lot of run after the catch. So there are a lot of things that Florida can do versus Tennessee's defense, which we haven't always been sharp on that side of the ball this year. We've given up a lot of yards. We've given up a lot of points, and the offense has bailed us out. In the games we've lost, the offense hasn't really played up to their level. So the offense has to play well and score a lot of points for us to win the game. And unfortunately, I don't see this game being a whole lot different. And I know this week we dismissed one of the nickel corners who was a starter. So again, injured secondary will now be down another man. So I'll be curious to see how we play in Gainesville.
I feel like for Florida, the main key, if they want to be competitive in this game, if they want to also pull off an upset, DJ Lagway has to have a good game. He has to limit turnovers. We know he is prone to throwing a few interceptions from time to time. He's got 12 touchdowns on the year, 13 INTs. So for Tennessee and their secondary, their linebackers, their safeties, be on high alert because the ball's going to be coming to you. And hopefully they can get a few turnovers, a few takeaways, and, it can shift momentum. But, for DJ, he's been sacked 15 times. So the O-line, obviously you don't want to give up that many, but that's still not the worst I've seen just looking at stats today. So, they are susceptible to giving up a few sacks here and there, give away a few turnovers. But for Tennessee, I feel like if they just, I don't think they need to really kind of try and, shake up the system or go for anything different. Just play the games you've been playing all year long. And that's all you have to do. Just stay the course. And I think that they should be able to ride to victory in this upcoming matchup against Florida. It's going to be on the road, and like I said, I'm sure all the players in there know just how long it's been. I don't know if any of them were even alive the last time this happened. So if that wants to tell you how long it's been since the Vols have won out there in Florida, that's just how much this means to the alumni for decades now at this point. Joel, before we get to our legend segment, any final thoughts you have this upcoming matchup against Florida on the road this weekend?
Well, Tennessee's defense has to be opportunistic from the standpoint that we have to go in and try to create turnovers because, as you alluded to, DJ Lagway will turn the ball over. The offensive line will have some miscues, and we can get him off the point and make him run. Get him off the spot, make him run, make him create some turnovers, trying to do too much, which he is prone to do. But I predict the Vols will win. I predict we'll find a way. I think offensively we'll be able to move the ball down the field and score. I mean, we have 4 receivers that play really well. We've got 2 tight ends that play really well. So I think we'll spread Florida out. We'll be able to throw the ball, and hopefully that will create run lanes for those 3 really good running backs that we have. So I would expect that Tennessee is going to win 27-17. Which would be great if our defense would only give up 17 points. I think we would have a great opportunity to win. But I'm predicting 27-17.
I think we'd pop the confetti cannons out here if they were only giving up 17 against Florida. So hopefully that's the case for all the Vols fans. I think, like I said, they'll take care of business and finally snap that 20-year plus losing streak on the road in Gainesville, Florida. 7:30 kick this weekend, mind you. So it's going to be a little bit later for the night shift game. So, all eyes on Tennessee and Florida this week. And for Tennessee, they're trying to, we already know they are bowl eligible. So they're we don't know who or what or anything at this point, but they have done enough at this point in the game to reach a bowl game, which is always nice. I as much as everyone's like, oh, we got to get in the top 12. That's just not going to be the case with the 150, 160 plus teams in Division One.
Right.
And as we know how stacked, just the SEC is. So,
well, the Swamp is going to be wild. The Swamp is going to be wild at a night game. So, you can best believe you have a lot of intoxicated college students with a night game in Gainesville, Florida. So it'll be a wild scene.
I'm about to say a night game in Gainesville. The team hasn't been doing good all year. They're hoping to play spoiler against a rival. So, the fans are going to be bringing it this upcoming weekend. It's going to be a great game, though. I'm looking forward to seeing how the Vols stack up against the Gators this upcoming weekend.
Nationally televised game as well.
Exactly. Yes, everyone can go check it out. They entered the YouTube TV and the ESPN split the other weekend. So if you got that, you can still check out the game this upcoming weekend. But Joey, let's shift into our legend segment here today. And you see here on the screen, we're talking about Jack Hacksaw Reynolds. And what's the main reason you want to go with Jack Hacksaw this week and highlighting just another Vols legend, this time on the defensive side?
Well, I'll tell you what, a lot of our viewers probably aren't familiar with Jack Hacksaw Reynolds and maybe even some of their parents, depending on the age demographic that are watching. But this player here was a dominant, aggressive, nasty football player when football was a true gladiator sport, not like a debate team, which we're playing in today's football. But he was physical, he's smart, he's tough. And not only that at Tennessee, but he ramped it up a notch when he got to professional football, playing with the Rams and the 49ers and winning a couple Super Bowls with those teams playing middle linebacker. He was a phenomenal football player.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And of course, I when I was doing my research on Jack Reynolds, I had to figure out, I said, well, how the heck did he get the nickname Hacksaw? Because, I mean, you don't just get that name just because. So just some research showed me that the nickname came to him at Tennessee, where unfortunately the Vols lost to Ole Miss. And Jack Reynolds, he wasn't doing too great. He was upset. And he needed a way to relieve his stress. And rather than, go to the gym, go out there and get a stress ball. No, he went to an old beat up car, got a hacksaw and started just sawing it all night long. Teammates heard about it, and the nickname Hacksaw quite literally became attached to Jack Reynolds for the rest of his playing career. So that was always, it's always fun seeing how guys get their nicknames like that. So always love to see Jack Reynolds with that. But we know he played from Tennessee. He had a great career there. Started off as a fullback originally. That's when he came to the program, but they transitioned him over into a linebacking role. And he did a great job there. Obviously, we know they didn't record a whole lot of stats back in the 60s and early 70s, so not everything's going to be completely accurate when you look back at players from that era. But that's just somewhere where you go and you hear old teammates, you hear rivals, you listen to coaches, and you look at the film and the stats you have and say, man, he was a complete player on linebacker. Like I said, just a nasty guy. You see the build on the screen. He is every bit of muscle as you can think of. Which, hey, we know back then guys weren't really doing a whole lot of weight training per se, but we know Jack Reynolds was kind of a different monster. He was easily in the gym, 2-3 times a day, always in the practice field. But we know he was there in the late 60s. Helped Tennessee go, have some great years overall. We know he's on the 69 team. Went 9-2 on that year. They had big wins against teams like Georgia, of course, Alabama as well. SEC champions in 69 as well. So, and he was a major factor in that. But like you said, once he transitioned and went and got drafted and went to the NFL, it just continued. He had close to 200 games played overall in his career, a handful of interceptions. Like I said, not everything was fully recorded back then, so you don't have a detailed number of stats and for sacks and for tackles, but estimated around 130 for tackles and just about 4 to 5 sacks in his career in the NFL. But like you mentioned, 2-time Super Bowl champion, 2-time Pro Bowler as well in 75 and 80. And just a great player, on the field, someone you want in the weight room, in the locker room, and would just help you get better. And, that's what we're here talking about with Jack Reynolds and how well he was at college in Tennessee, as well as going into the league and playing for, I believe, 15 years. So a guy who, there's not many places in any sport that you play for that long, let alone the NFL, in a physically demanding sport or a demanding position like the linebacking spot. And Jack kept in great shape, and he did well. He worked hard, and he carved out a great career for himself, not just at Tennessee as a Vols legend like we're highlighting here today, but also in the National Football League across all of those seasons, and taking home a couple of Lombardi trophies along the way, which ain't too shabby in the end of the day. Joey, any final thoughts here you have on Jack Hacksaw Reynolds for wrap-up program here this afternoon?
Great player. Ronnie Lott tells a story about forgetting a pencil coming into a meeting when he was a rookie, and he asked Jack, who had about 20 pencils with him, about it, and Jack told him no 4 times. No, you're not getting a pencil. He said, this will teach you to come to a meeting prepared, ready to go, and prepared like a champion. And Ronnie Lott tells that story on a regular basis, and it made a difference. He was always prepared. Jack was always ready to go. And again, playing middle linebacker in those days, that was a really tough job, because the NFL was a predominantly run-based team league for the most part, and you can look at highlights, and some of the things you see him doing was amazing. He was a really physically talented and gifted player.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And like you said, just go listen to the stories about this guy. You can see, if you work hard, keep your nose down, keep a few extra pencils in your pocket. You can go far in the league, in college, and in the pros. And for Jack Reynolds, he became obviously a legend here at Tennessee, like we're highlighting here today. But played 15 years in the NFL, win 2 Super Bowl championships, go to the Pro Bowl twice. Carved out a great career for himself overall in his football life. And glad to talk about him today and shed some light on his playing career for Jack Hacksaw Reynolds. My co-host today, Mr. Joey Clinkdale. Is always a pleasure talking Tennessee Vols current football, and of course going back in the past and talking about the legends here today on the program on 100 Yards Football. If you guys enjoy this episode, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. We go live once again every single week here on Facebook and YouTube, but you can also go download our podcast, just audio versions of all of our shows. So get out there this weekend, go root on Tennessee as they take on the Florida Gators, hoping to snap that 23-year losing streak on the road in Gainesville. And until next time, we'll see you again on another episode here of the Tennessee Vols Week